Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Bow and Arrow Reflection and Intention Setting webinar for the new year with yoga. So excited to be here with you. My name is Susanna Barkataki, for those who don't know me. And this is going to be a really packed session where we explore a lot and go into a lot together. So I'm going to invite you to get the most from this time, and I'm going to share a few things in a second. But as we're tuning in and more people are joining us, I'd love to hear again in the chat if you could share where you are tuning in from. So we have Brazil, we have Orlando, where I am, and it's like a beautiful one moment sunny, the next moment cloudy and rainy day, very intense, like transformative kind of weather out there. We have England, we have Los Angeles, we have Ohio, we have the United Kingdom, Wales, Scotland, Canada. Oh my goodness. So please know that what you bring to the sacred circle, Melbourne, Florida, what you bring to the sacred circle is going to so much determine what you get out of it. So I invite you to close any distractions. So if you've got apps open, other browsers, things going on, see if you can just put that aside for about 45 minutes that we're going to take together to dive deep here now. And allow yourself to participate, right? And by participate, this is what I love about webinars is no one can see you. So you can be here in your pajamas, you can be here in your bed, you can be at work. No one knows, no one cares, but the way you participate is in the chat. So when I ask you questions, which I will do, please chime in, play with me, gives me a lot of energy. It also helps me understand what's going on for you better. So why are you here? I'd love to know why you're here. Why did you decide to sign on to this webinar today with me? What is calling you? And I'm curious how many of you are here because you want your year to feel really energetically aligned. You want to feel really in tune. Maybe for some of you, work has been a drag, or there's just been some things that have felt like they're getting in the way of you being your highest self. And so I'm wondering how many of you are fully awake to the idea, to the reality that you can have the year that you want. How many people feel that? I'd love to see some yeses, some nos, some not sures. Perhaps, yes, okay. Nice. I think so. Yes, Stephanie, yes. Now, how many of you are feeling some disbelief or doubt, right? And that's not bad. That's not definitely resonated. It's not bad if you're feeling some disbelief or doubt. If you're feeling like, oh, well, Susanna can do this because she's Susanna, or my friend can do this because she's or he's this way, but I can't, or I don't fully believe it, or I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough. Anyone feeling that? A little bit of that? Of course, some doubt. Just saw your post and I clicked it instantly. I really resonated with this. Yay, Camila, where are you chiming in from? Camila, I'd love to know. That's so cool. And so the doubt is welcome, right? The disbelief, I'm not sure this is really for me. This is just another one of those things that I'm going to do, and then it's going to be lost, and I'm going to get into the year, and my year is going to be crazy, and it's not going to really happen for me, right? Like, we all have those feelings. I have those feelings. Those feelings are normal. And so I just want to invite you to bring it all into the circle with us. Yes to both. I'm having a difficult time allowing myself to receive and believe. Yes, I hear you. And I think, it's all welcome. And we're so, just by showing up here, right, we're so much further along than we would be if we hadn't said yes to this. And so I just want to take a moment to really acknowledge you for being here and acknowledge all of you, all the parts. So bring it all here. So we're going to begin with a little bit of a drop-in, and those of you who know me know I love to use a bell. This is a very special bell that has the inscription in Tibetan, Om Mani Padme Hum, the jewel in the heart of the lotus. And so I'm going to invite the bell to start us off. And so I'll invite you to roll your shoulders back if you're sitting or standing. Just find a solid and comfortable place for yourself, and I'll invite the bell and we'll begin. Breathe in, become aware that you're breathing in, and breathe out, aware that you're breathing out. In and out. Let's bring ourselves right into this moment. Bring our mind and body together by focusing our attention on the breath. It's actually so rare that we're in this harmony, in this unison of mind and body joined. And it's also so simple, just resting the attention on the breath. And yet, though it's simple, it's not easy because our minds wander, they jump, they go all over the place. And ever since humans have been meditating, our minds have wandered. And so our task is not to judge and not to keep our mind solely on the breath only, but to gently and lovingly welcome our attention back. So come back to the breath, your inhale and exhale. And the Bhagavad Gita gives us a very specific teaching on aligning our mind in meditation. And so you can begin rolling your eyes. Imagine that you're kind of gazing up right at that point between your eyebrows or a little bit above, and continue to focus on your breath. And I'm going to read to you from the Bhagavad Gita. Closing her eyes, her vision focused between her eyebrows, making the in-breath and the out-breath equal as they bypass through their nostrils. She controls her senses and her mind, intent on liberation. When desire, fear, and anger have left her, she is forever free. She is forever free. Know me as the enjoyer of all, my dearest friend of all beings, and thus she gains perfect peace. And we'll keep our attention and our awareness on our inhale and exhale. Slowly open your eyes. If they were closed, come back into the space. I like to look around where I am, noticing colors and textures and sounds, light, and just really come back present into the room that I'm in. So thank you for going on that journey with me. And I always love to begin with a little meditation just to center myself and to center you. So some of you have been hanging out in my community for a while and some of you are new. So I just want to take a moment to introduce myself and then ask why you are here. So I am Susanna Barkataki. I'm a yoga life coach, a teacher trainer, a writer. And, you know, I began this whole journey writing and speaking my truth about yoga. I grew up with yoga. I'm Indian. My dad is Indian. My mom is British. And I've practiced this practice since I was a kid. And I got really mad one day because I really didn't feel like I belonged in yoga spaces, which was so weird and ironic to me because, you know, yoga comes from India. And so I wrote this like passionate article about that, and it resonated with a lot of people. And ever since then, I've been doing a lot more teaching and writing, you know, as part of, it's like my passion and my hobby, and it's my business. And so I work with people who want to deepen their own aspirations and their own lives with yoga in various ways. And so I'm really, really excited to be here with you and to be guiding you in this moment of reflection. So, so who are you, right? Why are you here? Maybe you're here because you want to have a more aligned year. Maybe you're a yoga teacher or a yoga practitioner. I'd love to invite you. Like I said, you'll get so much more out of this if you're engaging and you're active and you're connecting. So post in the chat, who are you? Why are you here, right? So are you a teacher? Are you looking for a career change? Are you looking simply just to have more peace, more presence, more fun, more creativity? So some folks are having difficulty aligning their yogic life with their day-to-day life to deepen and align my yoga. Wonderful. So why else? Why else are you here? I'd love to hear from you. So we're here to bring our gifts to life, right? We're here to step into this time of the next year and to deepen in our practice together. So I'm going to invite us to really pick and focus and do one or two of the things that we're doing really well. Okay, I'm seeing some other people posting in the chat. I started doing yoga a few years ago, and your article on not appropriating really resonated with me. I've been following you ever since. Awesome, Stephanie, thank you. I'm a yoga teacher beginning my journey as a teacher, actually been practicing for a few years. Camila, remember, I'd love to know where you are, where you tune in from. That's so cool, and it's really, really wonderful. Nikki, I would like to end 2018 well, reflect on the year, and prepare for 2019. Reinvigorate my meditation and mindfulness practice. Stop the busy, silly excuses. Yes, who else wants to stop the busy, silly excuses? I have so many of those. I want to be more aligned with yogic values in my life. Yes, yes, yes. You are all in the right place, and I love this. This is exactly why we are here. I trained so that I could teach yoga, but I can't seem to build enough courage to teach to others. Yeah, I feel you. And I bet there's other people on here who sometimes have that feeling or always have that feeling as well. You know, it takes a lot to actually put ourselves out there. And the more we come into alignment, I think the easier. I actually don't know if I want to say easier, but the more possible it becomes. So I was super shy. I still am super shy in many ways. And so I do a lot of personal work so I can do all the things that I do and speak in the ways that I speak. I'm here to learn more about yoga and myself, to align myself. I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita at the moment. So I was really fascinated on this topic and how I can prepare for the following year. Yes, we're going to get right into the Gita in a second. I'm a yoga teacher and mother. I'm here to develop my yogic lifestyle and get a plan for the next year. Wonderful. From West Virginia, just completed 200 by TT, looking to incorporate all facets of yoga. Woohoo! Not only asana into my own practice and teaching as I begin sharing with others in 2019. I bet you pretty much everyone watching can resonate with that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, you are in the right place. So I want to begin by introducing the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm just going to share my screen so I can pull up the workbook, and you'll see me. There we are. Can everyone, so if you could do me a favor and post in the chat, now with my screen shared, how do I see the chat? Let me see if I can see both. Okay, so when I'm sharing my screen, I actually can't see the chat right now. Maybe I'll figure that out later. But can you see the workbook? So what I'm going to do is just share this. So I'm really excited that you're here. I want to read this quote. Yoga is a light which once lit will never dim. The better your practice, the brighter your flame. Okay, let me see if I can see the chat. Yes, I figured it out. So as I mentioned, so excited for this new technology that lets us connect in this way. And so I'm really happy that you're here and that we can have this sacred circle across, many different time zones, many different places, from West Virginia to Orlando to the UK to Brazil. And it's a technology that my wish is that it invites us into a circle. And so sometimes there might be moments where you need to bear with me as we're creating this sacred space. So just want to make sure, if you could type in the chat for me, can you see my screen well with the quote and not the chat? Awesome. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Yay. Yes. 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 Okay. So wonderful. All right. So a little bit of background on the Bhagavad Gita. I wanted to share why this text, as we use our yoga to reflect on our year past and go into our new year. So many of us in teacher training probably learned, if we learned at all, and I hope we did if we were in yoga teacher training, or were aware of the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali. And the Yoga Sutras are a seminal text. They're inseparable from the commentary as well on the sutras, and yet they are actually not one of the deepest and foremost texts of yoga in the whole pantheon of yogic mythology and yogic literature and yogic scripture. And the Bhagavad Gita, which I have a couple copies right here, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, which I love because it has the Sanskrit and the transliteration. And then I also really like the Bhagavad Gita translated by Stephen Mitchell because it's very poetic and to me captures the spirit and heart of a lot of what is shared in the Bhagavad Gita. Whereas this text is a lot more, the commentary is a lot more religious and kind of a little more fundamentalist. I really enjoy the poetry of this one. So I just wanted to share that with you. So the Bhagavad Gita is a 700 verse scripture that was written in Sanskrit. It dates from about the 5th to the 2nd century BCE. It was not the first writing on yoga, not the first teaching. Yoga has been taught and practiced and passed down by word of mouth for at least 5,000 years BCE, although there are many contemporary Western scholars out of Harvard and other places who will tell you that's not true, and that they think that because they can't date it, right? They don't have material evidence. But I've traveled and lived extensively in India, and all of the yogis and villagers that I ever spoke to said, look, this has been passed down for so much longer than we have proof of. But there is proof in the teaching. And so I just want to raise that context, right? This is an ancient practice, and it is a practice that is also so relevant for us. So the Bhagavad Gita has been a source of inspiration to many yogis throughout time. So when it was told orally back, in the hundreds of years BCE, and now in its written forms, its many written forms, it inspired Mahatma Gandhi in his movement to liberate India from the British. It inspired Thoreau, Emerson, Carl Jung, and many, many others. Hopefully it will continue or begin to inspire you if it has not yet. It's translated as the Song of the Lord. And I'd love to hear in the chat how many of you have read or, explored the Bhagavad Gita. Has anyone, but it looked like Camilla was working with it. Was there anyone else who's been exploring this text or picks it up? I find it's a helpful book to just have on my bookshelf and pick up and read, right? Like, without concern for results, perform the necessary action. Surrendering all attachments, accomplish life's highest good. Like, how profound, how beautiful. And so it's written in aphorisms. So I'll just show you, right? They're short, called shlokas or aphorisms. They're very poetic, very sparse, and yet so evocative. So the context of the Gita is that it opens with a war. And I'm just looking in the chat right now. So let me see if I'm reading it. I find some parts difficult. Absolutely, it can be very intimidating. I have explored pieces of it through my last year. It's one of my intentions. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So yes, it can feel a little bit intimidating or confusing, and it's also it's challenging. And we'll go into how we can work with those challenges, because it's asking us to do every action that is true to us and then let go. And that is so hard because we live in a culture that invites us to hold on, hold on, hold on. So we don't have time on this call to go way in depth to the story, but I will tell you the important piece is it begins with the main character, Arjuna, and he is on a battlefield, right in the center of the battlefield, and he is confronted. He's there with Krishna, his charioteer, who's both a charioteer and a divine presence, right? A higher self. And Arjuna is being called to battle and suppress and wipe out corruption that has sprung up in the land that he is in. So it's a very relevant story, right? A time of corruption, injustice, of a small group of people trying to take land and resources for a few rather than allow the many. So this story resonates for us. And Arjuna realizes, though, that those very people who are taking over and who are trying to control everything are his cousins, his brothers, his teachers. And so he asks Krishna, how can I fight? How can I do this? How can I kill? It would be better for me to die than for me to kill my greatest teachers, because I would live such a life of sorrow if I did that. This is the dilemma. It echoes Shakespeare's Hamlet, right? Like, how can I act? How can I do this thing? It echoes the seed that so many of us spoke to at the beginning of who am I to, right? And you can fill in that too with what you're aiming for in the next year or in your life. I am not enough to, right? I'm not good enough. We all have these stories. And so Arjuna had this story, had a very real conflict, and Krishna, the rest of the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, is Krishna telling him, Arjuna, you are a warrior. It is your duty to fight. You cannot kill or be killed. And so you must do your true duty, which is to fight. And Arjuna has many questions for Krishna, and they go back and forth, and it's really a teaching treatise. But what I want to invite you to consider is perhaps the setting, the preamble, really, of the Gita is a metaphor. And it's not necessarily a war story. Take a sip of water. You can too, as we're getting deep into, we're about to go somewhere pretty profound. That the Gita is not actually a war story in the external world, but it is a story of war within. The battle between those doubts we were speaking of and our highest selves, our ability to act. Whew, right? So we enter our first module. Now we're going to go through this pretty quickly. We may not finish everything, and that's just fine, because there'll be, and I'll share with you an opportunity to continue to work with me to go a little bit deeper. as well as you can always take your own time to journal and reflect and ritualize this process on your own. So module 1, bow. Action should culminate in wisdom. So through this whole first year, we've taken many actions, right? We've done many things like Arjuna. And so our first step is to reflect on our past year. And I'm going to invite you to do this kind of first thought, best thought, just a quick jump in and reflect. So what is one quality, right? And just write. One quality, and you can write in your journal, or you can write, even type into the chat if you don't have anything to write with, or onto this document if you have it. So what is one quality you embodied this year, or one thing you did that you are so proud of? So something that you've done this year that you're really proud of. We're just taking some time to reflect. What's one mistake you made? And in yoga, everything is practice, right? Everything is wisdom. And so how did you grow from that mistake? We can even call up, you don't have to share with us, but you could. That mistake, sometimes I hear people say, leave the drama, take the lesson, right? What's the lesson? What's the nugget that you can pull from that mistake? How did you grow? So we're just going in broad strokes through our year. Sometimes it's helpful for me to later, when you have a little more time, if you're doing this on your own, to flip through my calendar, or if you have a paper planner, and look at all the things that I've done through my year, to reflect and really pull out the nuggets. What is one limiting story or belief that you are ready to let go of in the new year, before the new year, sorry. So what is one limiting story or belief you're ready to let go of before the new year starts? So just like Arjuna had that limiting story of, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, it's going to lead to tragedy. When truly in his life, that was a limiting belief. He needed to bust through that in order to be who he truly is. So what's one limiting belief or story you're ready to let go of before the new year? Whew, good work. Okay, so I'm gonna invite you to, in a moment, put your pen down. If you're writing, roll your shoulders. I like to, because this yoga is a body-based practice, to move, right? So brush it off. You might be brushing your arms, maybe wiggling. There's a lot, it's funny to do, but I'm actually gonna stand up and do it. If you're somewhere where you're standing, so you can wiggle it all out, make some noise. If you're somewhere where people can't hear you, take some deep breaths. Okay, we're getting ready to ritualize to release. Okay, so the next part is ritual release with clarity. And I invite you to later, so much of my work with people online actually invites them offline, right? Into their journals, into their natural, rocks, nature, going outside. I just got some really awesome dissolving paper that dissolves in water, because I can't always burn stuff. It's just not always practical. So I will be writing what I'm letting go, what we're about to do, on my dissolving paper, and dissolving it later. You can write it, you can shred it, you can flush it down the toilet, you can bury it in the earth, you can burn it, right? So this is all here for you to do now and then take out and practice. You gonna do it? I wanna hear in the chat. What are you gonna do? After we go through this, you're going to burn it? Are you going to rip it? Are you going to throw it in the trash? Are you going to bury it? What are you going to do with the things you're letting go? Burn it. Yes, burn it. Oh, I love this. Y'all are really into burning it. Bury it, winter season. I love that. Ooh, you have different ones for different seasons, Shelley. I want to hear more about this. I had no idea there was dissolving paper. Burn, baby, burn. Okay, we're ready. We are fired up to do this. So this is how I close my year. I learned this because, and I think I learned this from a few places, but I used to have, I don't get them so much anymore. I used to have really bad dreams. And sometimes I do, of course, like everyone, but I used to like wake up in the night screaming. Sometimes I've experienced some trauma in my childhood and just different things that led me to have bad dreams. Can anyone relate to this, right? Anyone have really intense bad dreams? So I would wake up and, in the past, like a decade ago, I would then, especially if the dream involved someone in my life, I would like take it out on them through the day. Like if they, like I remember with my ex-partner, if they had cheated on me in my dream, I was pissed at them in everyday life, right? So I needed to do something about my dreams. And I believe that there are so many ways of communicating. Yoga really gets us, and this is much deeper. We'll go into this in more depth. We go into this a lot in my teacher trainings, but yoga is a way to connect with the subconscious and bring it up to the conscious mind. And there are so many pathways to do that, and dreams are one pathway, right? But I needed to contain it. So yeah, other people, dreams intense, right? So what I learned was after I would have a dream, I would give it a title, right? Or a name. I would name it, little synopsis of it, and the lesson that it was teaching me. And when I did that, and I think this is why I don't have them, that intense very often anymore. When I learned to do that, it changed. So the ripple effect of that negative energy didn't go through my day. So we're going to do that with our year. Okay. So elemental alchemy. And this is a system and a process that I created with my yoga students, with all the wonderful students that I get to teach here in Orlando, and also that I get to teach online in my group programs. Elemental alchemy. We see it to release and integrate it. Ritualize your past year with one word, a mantra, a lesson, and then a trust. So we name, right? We need to name things to remember, to honor, to integrate them, and to transform. So for your year, I invite you to write in the box or in your journal one word. And I'm looking for my notes. My one word, I'd love to, if anyone's willing to share their one word in the chat, I'd love to see some of your words. So my one word is boom. This year, boom. Mantra. And you're wrapping your year, right? So what was your mantra for your year? One lesson that you learned? And one trust. One thing that you are deepening into, right? Like I put in the example, I trust my ancestors to guide me. That's something I really, really deepened in this year. So it's one trust that I've gained from the year. So transformative, nice. Okay, any other words? I'd love to see some words or mantras or trusts in the chat. And I'll give you a moment. You can take some more water. Remember, we're moving energy, this powerful stuff that we're doing here. Take a sip of water or tea if you have it. Self-acceptance, release. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So before we move actually into module 2, I just want to share a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says to Arjuna, chapter 2, verse 40, now hear me. On this path, no effort is ever wasted. No gain is reversed. Even a little of this practice will shelter you from great sorrow. So breathe that in. Feel that in your heart, in your cells, in your bones, right? Nothing of this year, of this time is wasted. It all is of service. And he also says this beautiful message of trusting yourself. It is better to do your own duty badly than to perfectly do another's. You are safe from harm when you do what you should be doing. So beautiful. It is better to do your own duty badly than to perfectly do another's. You are safe from harm when you do what you should be doing. Nice. Okay. So any questions, anything, any comments or thoughts before we move into, and I know we're moving quickly, the invitation here really is just to introduce you to this process that you'll then either take out later and do more in depth early in the new year yourself, or in the support that I'll explain and share with you at the end of this training. So any questions or thoughts before we move into module 2 and the next step in this process of intention setting for the new year with yoga? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions or comments in the chat. Let's go to module 2, okay? So we've strung our bow, right? Our year, our self, our container, and now we're ready to aim our arrow. The quotes from the Gita: do every action you must do, but do not be attached to your action's fruits. This wisdom in action is yoga. And we will get way into that in just a second. So tune into your soul. And this is another translation of that same quote I read earlier. It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live in imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. So in yoga class, and many of you are yoga teachers, right? And just an invitation to, how do we start our practice, right? If you go into a yoga class, what do you usually start with? If you're a teacher, how do you start your class? If you're a practitioner or you've ever been to a class, what do we usually begin class with? Just type it in the chat. How do you begin your class? I'm just clicking over to make sure you're seeing me. Oh, nice. You all have really great ways of starting. This is so good. I start by laying in Shavasana, or seated meditation, Dharana, conscious breathing, centering, awareness of the breath, laying down in some sort of meditation or intention. I want to go to all of your classes. You rock. Yes. So once you've done that, somewhere early in the practice, awareness of breath and the body without judgment. Oh, you are making me so inspired right now, because you're the kind of teachers that we need more of in this world, or practitioners that are receiving more of the kind of yoga that we need in this world. So thank you. You're lighting me up. So often after we've dropped in, right, through the breath, through meditation, perhaps Shavasana, it's one of my favorite ways to start, as well as, especially midday or afternoon classes, just lay everyone down, is start to introduce a theme, and then centering, and then singing the invocation mantra. Beautiful, yes. So then we often invite our students into setting an intention. Right? Some of you in here, or you've been in classes where your teacher invites you to set an intention for your practice. And if not, that's a really wonderful way to bring some of the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita and of the teaching of Sankalpa into a daily yoga practice, your own or others. So does anyone do that? Intentions, or how that happen? So and yes, okay, wonderful. Yes. So this is where this comes from, okay? From a sankalpa. A sankalpa is Sanskrit, and it tunes our arrow, our aim, our intention to the bow of our soul, right? So we can live our own destiny perfectly or imperfectly, rather than living out other people's wishes or dreams or goals for us. I mean, how many people on here parents wanted something, you know, maybe friends want you to be something, partners want you to be something, kids want you to be something, but it's like, truly, you just have to be yourself. For me, you know, so much of my life I lived, my dad is a typical Indian father, and so wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer or a business person. It's kind of funny and ironic because guess what I studied? What I, at the time, thought was the least bullshit of all majors, philosophy. Um, you can laugh. I laugh too. Like, wow, I really thought that was the least BS. But, you know, at that time, I didn't believe like this table was real. So I was that kind of young person. And it's awesome. Like, I love her, right? Because, yes, society constantly tells us who to be. And I was so not having it. I bet there's folks on here who also are so not having it and are sick of who the yoga world is telling us to be: happy and light and love, and not dealing with the rest of the suffering and the things that are going on in our own lives or in the world around us. So instead of listening to those stories, right? Sankalpa allows us to come back, because we're always going to have those stories and those messages. And some of us have internalized those stories and messages greater than others. That's, you know, internalized depression for those women watching who have a hard time speaking up, who have a hard time owning their truth, who ask a lot of questions, who feel like they love and admire their leaders, but they could never lead, right? That stuff is internalized sexism, internalized patriarchy. Sure, we might be shy. I'm shy, right? But a lot of it was the messages that I had been told by society that were keeping me suppressed. And so when we learn to tune into our true soul and our true self, we can then act in alignment with it, despite all of that noise around us. So that's what this is about. No big deal, right? So society, yes, constantly tells us who to be. So Sankalpa, sun is connection, kalpa is vow, a vow of connection. It connects us to our own deep truth. There are a couple kinds of Sankalpa. There's the deep soul call, like the who I am here to be. And we don't have time to get into that on this particular, you know, it's just not enough time to get that in depth. I will when I explain what I'm going to do with some of you afterwards. Okay, we will have time there. But, and some of you may already be like, I'm there, I got it, awesome. Call it in, and we can always, I find I can always go deeper and deeper. The second kind of Sankalpa is like, what, and this is the kind we often start yoga class with, what is my intention now in this moment, like for this day or for this week? It's sort of a small I, whereas like the big I, the big Sankalpa is like my soul purpose. So when we're creating Sankalpas, one key is language is power. As we speak, so we become, right? So we want to create our Sankalpas positive and in the present tense. So I love my healthy body is positive, instead of I want to lose weight is negative. And I think this is why a lot of New Year's resolutions don't work, because we're putting it in the negative. So we're constantly focused on like, I want to eat better. You know, what does that say? Like, I'm eating healthy, nourishing, green food. I have a really clear direction and a positive energy moving there. Present tense, right? Speak as if it's already happening, because it is. We are created by our belief. As we believe, so we become. Okay. So listening to our soul, we're going to just again go back to, and let's shake a little bit, move the energy, drink some water. I'm going to drink some now. As we create our Sankalpa, and you can aim towards your deep, true soul call, but you also, it's okay to write like a couple specific in the moment Sankalpas, right? So we have to listen, Shravana, turn towards it, Manana, and embrace, right? So we listen, we turn towards our Sankalpa, and then we embrace it. And so we'll just listen to one sound of the bell. Tune into your own soul call. Keep your eyes closed, and then as you're ready, you can begin to write. What is one value, way of being, or quality you will embody this year? Which of the 8 limbs of yoga will you nourish and grow this year? And if you're not sure what those are, that's okay. We'll go into that another time too. But basically, ethics, yogi codes, kind of like the yogi warrior codes, asana, the physical practice, breath, focus, mindfulness, meditation, and joy, bliss, liberation. And then what is one story or belief about yourself you will take on and own in the new year? And you can start to write these into your notes. You can type them in the chat. I would love to hear your one word or value. Self-compassion, intensity. Ooh, I love that. That's mine. Connection. I am able. Beautiful. So what I love about these that you're sharing is we're about to get into, just as we ritualize to let go, we're going to ritualize to solidify. And for time's sake, we'll jump right in. So we say it, this is elemental alchemy, okay? We say it and repeat it to integrate it. We ritualize our year to come with a word, a mantra, something we're stretching, right? A growth edge. After all, this is yoga. So we are stretching our bodies, our minds, our souls, and we speak it to manifest. So one word for your year. This is big, right? Big and small. So one word, distill it all into one word. This year, what is that word that's going to guide your year? Mine is play. I'm going to play. Everything I do is going to be nourished and filled with fun and play. And then a mantra. For example, I'm sharing mine with you. I am full of creativity and play. Oh, I love that you're sharing yours. Loving care. Yes, please keep sharing. Then a growth edge, something that you're like growing into. For me, I'm really growing into my presence, into sharing more of myself, right? So my growth edge is humor and presence. Not taking myself too seriously, having fun, and then being present. And then a trust, something you're growing into. I am living in alignment with my core values. Yes. And I'd love for you, Miranda, to please make sure you've got, like, next to that mantra, have your core values listed, like not too many, 3, 5, something simple. So just like we did with the other words, these we're not going to burn unless you want to. Actually, we might, because check this out. The Bhagavad Gita says, right, do any action you must do, since action is better than inaction. Even the existence of your body depends on necessary actions. The world can become a slave to its own activity. If you want to be truly free, perform all actions as worship. This is how actions were done by the ancient seekers of freedom. And they are talking about, the Gita is talking about our yogic ancestors, okay? The ancestors, all of us who are heirs to this practice, are indebted to and are privileged to have learned from and to offer this practice to our lives and to future generations from. Follow their example. Act, surrendering the fruits of your actions. Okay, ready for this? So you're going to take your mantra, your word, your growth, your trust, and you have a choice. You can dissolve that. You can rip that up. You can burn that. You can also, what I like to do is I like to create two like on a cardstock, or some of you might make really like be super graphic and like journal and use your colored pencils. Awesome. I create 2. I put one up on my mirror or in the bathroom or in my closet, wherever I'm going to see it, by my bed. And then with the other one, I burn it. I let it go. Okay, so I embody that teaching as much as possible of not holding on or gripping so tightly to my intentions for the year. But I take it on and then let it go. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to post them? Are you going to post and burn? Are they going by your bed? Are they going in your closet? Are they going in the garden also? Maybe planting with a beautiful plant or seed. Where are they going? Your intentions for this year. I'd love to hear you post in the chat. And then Dahlia, I'm going to ask you to, nice. Ooh, okay. In my planner, and then the other I'll burn. Nice. Okay, so some of us maybe have awesome, gorgeous planners or really practical planners or journals. Some of us don't. Totally cool. I actually sometimes put things like this in notes on my phone, and then I look at my phone because that's something I see every day. So wherever you're going to take it, put it there, and then let it go. So what I want to invite you into is this last part, which is once we've let it go, so beautiful. Okay, I will plant it and post it up. My mirror can use more intention and affirmation. Beautiful. All right, so we have this really great bird's eye perspective on our year, and I'm super excited that we've created. I'm just looking for my notes of the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita. So helpful, right, to have that. So I want to close this part with just one last quote from the Gita. And the last two sort of extra bonus things are to plant the seed, right, of your Sankalpa in meditation, repeat it to yourself in the present tense, and then water it. Take actions to support your Sankalpa. So trust what I have to offer of myself is valuable and needed. Yes, I'm going to place it in my yoga space, the place I begin and teach every day. If we can just plant our Sankalpa somewhere where we can remember it, we come back to why we do everything that we're doing. So thank you. That's beautiful. So you contain that inside you, which you seek, right? We've gone on this journey. We've released, we've intended, we've let it go. Know your duty and do it without hesitation. Resolute understanding is single-pointed. These are all teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. And so what I want to invite you to do is take this out with you. And so for those for whom this has been valuable, this is really just kind of the beginning of the process that I go through and lead many of my clients through. And so I want to offer you, if you'd like to go deeper, I'm setting up an opportunity. Usually working with me is not cheap, as many of my students will attest to. It's in the 4 figures, right? Like the mid 4 figures. And I don't really open up my schedule to anything that's much less than that, just because I don't have a lot of time. I'm also a parent. But I wanted to offer for folks who want to really take this deeper and create their plan in line with their high, deep self Sankalpa, a small group. And that is only $33 to sign up. And we'll do an hour deep dive focused on you and your highest self, where your soul call aligns with your call to serve the world. And so Dahlia, can I ask you to, thank you for helping me out here, just post that link in the chat for us, and then I'll pull that up. So the other thing is, once you do this, that group session, if you decide you want to do that to take this further, and these sessions will happen in the new year. It'll be like a small group working session in Zoom, but just like this, we'll do a lot of things in person online that then invite us to be creative and to play offline. You'll get a complimentary 30-minute one-on-one laser coaching session after the group session, right? Just to make sure that you've really planted your Sankalpa deeply and that you're taking it in and through your year. Dahlia, could you do me a favor and just post that link in the chat? I think I shared it with you in our messenger. So it'd be great if you could share that. So I want to share another quote from the Gita. Holding the great bow of yogic wisdom, the aspirant should fix the arrow of the mind, sharpened with meditation, on its target. Draw the string with full absorption and shoot at the target. My friend, remember, immutable and eternal, truth alone is the target. Dahlia says, I'm looking for it. One moment. Great. Thank you so much, Dahlia. So the amazing thing that happens when we're really practicing yoga in all full possibility is that the goal and the bow become one. So what we were aiming at and who we are become one. And so you're here, right, to connect your personal growth with your soul call that is in service for all beings. Thank you so much, Dahlia. So I'm calling it up. So yes, so true aim. So Dahlia just posted the link in the chat, and I'm pulling it up so you can see what it looks like. It's true aim, clarity and purpose in the new year. If you are someone who wants to align your life more deeply with yoga, is ready to be of service, but not totally confident about how, deeply wants your year to feel grounded and fulfilling, you are in the right place. We will align your personal why, your deep soul sankalpa, right? That one we're talking about. Takes a little time to get in there and really find it, discover it, and connect to it. And then the beautiful thing is once you have that soul sankalpa, big S sankalpa, all the little ones, like the year just falls into place. I like that sound effect. Oh, it feels that way once we have it. So with your highest self and we will align your personal why, your sankalpa, with your highest self and your mission to be of service to the world. So it's just $33, which again, like I never work with people. It's a very special opportunity to work with me that I just felt called to offer, because I love this work and I love you and I love all the work that you're doing out there. And so I want to make sure that what you've got from this time together, we can then take out and really hone and get really specific on your personal plan for the year, take it deeper. And then also I would love to connect with anyone who wants one-on-one for that laser coaching session after you participate. So who's going to sign up? I'd love to see in the chat if anyone's going to take me up on this, because it's a really special opportunity. I'm really, really excited. Yay, me, Miranda. Stephanie says, I am. Yes. Oh, so excited to have you join me. This is amazing. Thank you. We'll definitely be signing up. Nisha, Shelly, you know I'm in. I know you're in, Shelly. Yes. This is so wonderful. And I'm so grateful. Yes. This is amazing. Thank you. So I'm so happy to be able to be of service to you in this way. This is really my life's work and my calling, and me, yay. So what I'd love to just let you know also is the spots are limited. I've reserved 15 spots, right? Because it's going to be small groups. And then there's three sessions, which are set up for our second week in the new year, for those small group sessions. And if for some reason one of the times, as soon as you sign up, you'll get to choose which time you want. And if for some reason one of those times doesn't work, you can just message me and I'll create another one. But there's only 15 spots. And so make sure you hop on over to that link that Dahlia put in the chat. It's a Moonclerk link. And you reserve your spot right away. And then email me with which time works for you. And then after that, you'll get a message to sign up for your one-on-one laser coaching session. And my suggestion is you aim that to be a week to 2 weeks out, no more than 2 weeks out from the group session that you sign up for, because it'll be perfect, right? We'll align, we'll connect to our soul call, we'll get that all planned in place. And then we'll have an accountability moment where we can come together and I can really support you individually and also share a little bit with you about how that support could look through the rest of your year. So wonderful. Me. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So hop on over to that link. I'm gonna just paste it one more time in the chat. And I wanted to take some time at the end here just for questions back on your year, right? You're letting go, you're setting your intention. Any questions or thoughts? You can type your questions into the chat. So just remember, okay, the most important thing, you possess that which you seek. Discovering your Sankalpa is a process of listening, of remembering who you are. Your heartfelt desire is already present, waiting to be seen, heard, and felt. It's not something you need to make up. It's not something outside of you. This is yoga. Yoga is union. Yoga is connection of ourself with ourself, which is also always connection to the divine. So our own minds, yes, our own mind can be a distraction. Look for the lesson, deepen just a little bit more. And let's share our sankalpas and support one another in taking our yoga off the mat. When meditation, and this, believe me, is meditation, this kind of self-reflection, is mastered, the mind is unwavering like the flame of a lamp in a windless place. Got one question here. Let me answer that. Can you repeat the versions of the Gita you recommend? Yes, of course. Thank you, Susanna. I just love you. I need to sign off. Mwah. Goodbye. Is there a difference between the Sankalpa and the mantra, growth, rage, trust, or is it a blend of all those things? Great question. Okay, so first, and let me stop sharing for a second. So the first thing, so you can see me big. Really, this version of the Bhagavad Gita is my favorite. The Bhagavad Gita by Stephen Mitchell. It's very poetic. He uses some other translations that went into him creating the poetry that he creates, but it gets to the essence of the teachings. Then I use this one, but I'm also a Sanskrit, scholar in training. And so I don't use this one for the commentary. Because the commentary, is very, like I mentioned, very religious, and it may not resonate for some of you. I use this one because it has the transliteration and the Sanskrit, and then I really like chanting it, right? So I use this for that. There's many translations. That's something I can also send out as a resource, some other translations. But the one I find myself turning back to again and again is really the Stephen Mitchell Bhagavad Gita. I myself am working on a translation of the Bhagavad Gita, so that'll be something that comes out in the next 3 to 5 years. So I have a few books that I'm writing, and that is one of them. So let's see. So great. So the question was the difference between the Sankalpa, the mantra, the growth edge, and the trust. So the Sankalpa truly is that knowing, right? That true aligned vow that you are making. And the growth edge, the trust, the word, those are all ways of getting there. Kind of like the finger pointing at the moon. The Sankalpa is the moon. And sometimes it can be a little bit confusing if we're like, oh, but I have this thing pointing at the thing. Is that the thing? No, it's not the thing. But they're tools that get us to our vow. And so if you're feeling like Stephanie, maybe not totally sure about or not completely clear about your Sankalpa, I'd love to support you in that small group. Or just take some more time with it, right? Reflect on your own. Like I said, this is within you, so you have it. And those of us like myself who are offering these things, we're just there to remind you to come back to yourself. and to really go deep into your own trust and knowledge of your own Sankalpa. So all of those other things are tools, and they're very useful tools, right? Like asana is a useful tool to make the body flexible so we can come to that meditative state. I'm very much a yoga practitioner who loves asana, but for me, often I'll meditate because meditation, it gets me there faster. And so that's just my style. So for you, those tools can be your Sankalpa right now. And as you're deepening and deepening and deepening, you become, it's that moment of the archer and the bow and the arrow become one. So, love this. Okay. Can't wait. Thank you. That helped a lot. Good, good, good. So I'm just going to share my screen once more and then close us out here. So I want to invite you to enjoy your new year and share this quote with you. I'll share two quotes. This is from me, then I'll share one from the Gita. The meaning of our actions is in the intention. The intention is behind action. The intention behind action is what matters. This is our yoga. So thank you so much for practicing yoga with me. From the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 25. And no matter what translation you're using, the verses should be the same, so that it's fun to compare. I'll do that a little bit in our small groups. We'll look at some different translations and like tease out some of the nuance. That all of this is to bring enlightenment, right? To bring our own awareness, enlightenment of ourselves, and enlightenment of our service to the world. So these yogis knew what they were talking about, and they understood us, right? This is what's so precious about this practice and why we need to continue practicing it in its authentic form into the future. Though the unwise cling to their actions, waiting for results, the wise are free of attachments and act for the well-being of the whole world. The wise are free of attachments and act for the well-being of the whole world. So I know that's why you're here. I'm so grateful to you for spending this time together. I'm really excited to go further diving in with those of you who are called and whose heart is singing yes. And I am just so grateful to you. Have a beautiful winter solstice, a beautiful 2019. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to close with one sound of the bell. And so it is.